Hello, everybody, and welcome to MRAdio. We apologize that we are 2 minutes late. We apologize to all of our 0 live viewers. That number can only increase, which is great. But we do get quite a few viewers over the week, which is, oh my God, we have 3 viewers now. See, it's increasing already. So welcome to MRAdio Father's Day edition. It's not Father's Day until Sunday, but since we don't do shows on Sunday, tonight is our Father's Day edition. Oh, Landray! I'm a hero, not a zero. Absolutely. So we actually got somebody from America watching right now, which is amazing. Hi, Land. I hope you're doing well. And maybe you can write some comments during the show if you got some questions. That would be great. And happy, not, what's the opposite of belated Father's Day? Father's Day in advance?
Preemptive?
Happy Father's Day in advance.
But in like America, don't they have a different Father's Day? Because they have a different Mother's Day.
I think it's International Father's Day. I don't know. Well, Landray, please let us know if it's Father's Day on Sunday in America or not. That would be very informational. So, your 2 hosts tonight are, as always, the lovely, the beautiful, the amazing Elizabeth Hobson. Who are you?
Well, I would tell you, but actually, I've got someone much more interesting to introduce today.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, check this out. Right, where's he gone? Can you see him?
Is it a dragon gecko, or how are they called? Bearded dragon?
Yeah, he is a bearded dragon. He's from Australia.
Oh, hey, mate.
They've been walking the earth for 250 million years. And now this one, he walks my head while I cook and stuff. I really like him. And his name is Haku.
Haku?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Is that Japanese sound?
Yes, absolutely. And as a father, you will learn all about Haku. He's a sort of dragon boy river hero in a Studio Ghibli film called Spirited Away.
Oh, right. Nice.
Yeah,
Spirited Away.
Yeah.
Just saying, I want to say hi to Vernon as well. Good to see you tonight.
Hi, Vernon. I'm sorry, I owe you an email. I am aware. I just, suck. But maybe tonight I'll email you back and we'll see if you're free. And hi, Stephen.
Hi, Stephen. Good to see you as always. So, and I'm Philip Tanser, founder of Gender Parity UK. And we're gonna dive straight into our stories. Oh my God. It always takes me a little moment to share the screen, so please bear with me. So we would like to start with a petition, advertising a petition that one of our friends, Terry White, initiated, or well, him and some other people initiated. So to give you a little bit of background, most of you will know what parental alienation is. It's when one parent pretty much badmouths another parent after a separation, to an extent that the child doesn't want to see the parent anymore. And it is by sane people, it is correctly considered as a form of emotional abuse, both towards the child and the other parent. Now, feminist organizations really try their hardest recently to make sure that parental alienation is considered pseudoscience, even though there is research from all around the world. And the thing is, everybody knows that it exists. Like everybody knows a couple, a separated couple, where something to that extent happened. So claiming that it doesn't exist or that it's pseudoscience is ridiculous. Now the UN has, or an UN special rapporteur created a document or research, but it wasn't really research. It was very, very biased, like just feminist bias dribble, to advocate against the recognition of parental alienation. And the document that the rapporteur created was absolute insane feminist horse crap. And our good friend Terry White, he looked through the whole document and debunked everything and highlighted why it is nonsense. And he wants an investigation into this report. And we would urge you to go to our to his change.org what's it called? Not competition. Yeah, petition, that's the word, and sign it. The petition, the link to the petition is in the description of this YouTube video. So if you just go into the details of the videos, you will find the link to the petition. It only takes you a minute to fill out, so please do so and share with friends and family. We are already, or he is already, pretty much at 2,500 signatures, which is insane because often these petitions started by men's rights activists, they often don't make it very far. There are sometimes quite a few of these petitions and they barely make it over 100 or 200 signatures. This is at 2,500, which is amazing. So please support this. Anything you want to say about this, Elizabeth?
Yeah, it's really really disturbing to me actually to see how feminists respond to this issue. And as you say, there is plenty of research, more and more every day, on the impacts of parental alienation on children and on children as they grow into adults, and the trauma of it. And so for feminist groups to lobby, and they don't just lobby for it to be ignored in family court situations, they actually often lobby for the raising of it as a concern to be counted as some kind of evidence of abuse. So if someone goes into a family court and alleges that the other parent is engaging in parental alienation, then feminists want the parent alleging that to be assumed to be an abuser. But
may I also highlight
to finish my sort of point, what disturbs me, or I don't know, what's the word? What I find the most infuriating about that approach by feminists is they claim to be about supporting women, and obviously we all know from the evidence and the research that parental alienation is predominantly a form of abuse that is perpetrated by women. But it's not only women. There are men who perpetrate parental alienation, and women and their children are the victims. But that minority of women, feminists are perfectly happy to throw under the bus. And it's not only the women who are victims of men's parental alienation. Has Philip dropped out of the stream again? He's got really bad signal. He needs to live in a populated part of the world. I think I can still be heard, so I'll carry on going on. Yeah, it's not only women who are victims of parental alienation who are failed by the feminist dismissal of it as a problem, it's also women, because I saw a talk by Stuart Contry years ago at the Male Psychology Network on parental alienation, and he explained that it's not always a deliberate kind of methodology that people, it's not always a deliberate action or set of behaviors from people. It can actually be, you know, and we know that children are very sensitive, and it can be behaviors that parents don't even know they're engaging in. So, you know, when the other parent shows up to pick up the kids, take them out, the other parent is rolling their eyes, or, you know, speaking in a short fashion.
That we have internet
unintentionally. And, you know, the parent who is behaving in this way may not realize that actually the kid is picking up on that negative energy, but it can still inform the child's behavior and their perspective. And so those parents who actually, if we elevated parental alienation to a health concern, as it should be, they would be able to look at their behavior and change it, because they may well not want to be harming their children in this way. And if it was pointed out, they might not. But we're preventing them from getting the information they need, or feminists are preventing them from getting the information they need to be better parents.
Yep, I completely agree. I think I was kicked out of the live stream a little bit, so I didn't hear every single word, but thank you so much for filling in.
I was just moaning about you while you were gone.
Well, rightfully so. That's exactly what I would have done, just moaning about myself. So, and we're going into the next petition, quite a few petitions tonight. And in this case, it's something that we looked at before. So in Scotland, they want to introduce an extension to the hate crime legislation, and they want to do a standalone misogyny law, which obviously is an awful idea. It goes against the Equalities Act and against, common sense. Now, I would urge everybody to fill out this consultation as well, but realistically speaking, you can't, because the consultation is intentionally difficult to fill out. I think altogether it's 60 questions that they're asking, and you really have to understand the consultation. So if you have way too much time on your hand, I would urge you to read through all the questions and try to understand them and try to fill them out to the best of your ability.
I've responded to a consultation or two in my time on a range of subjects. I have never seen one that is anything like 60 questions long. That is insane.
Yes, and some of the questions are, in my opinion, intentionally misleading or difficult to understand. And I think they really don't want people to respond to it, and they make it intentionally difficult so that the interest groups that are in favor of this legislation, they can just click yes. We can't even just click no, because the way that the questions are asked, if you click no, it's unclear what your position is. So
I remember I participated in like a general kind of crime survey of London, and it was years ago now, so I don't remember the questions like specifically, but it was quite long and it was conducted on the phone. But it was like, I mean, throughout, and I was talking through my thinking with the guy on the phone, and he kind of got where I was coming from, but it was all questions like, are you satisfied with how the police treat women? And I was like, well, the thing is, no, I'm not. But if I say that, then it's going to be recorded as I think the police are too, harsh on women and are sexist against women. Whereas actually, I think that they treat women with like favoritism, and it's really not helpful. But
I had a very similar experience in a consultation on violence against women and girls, and it said, oh, this also includes male victims. And then they asked, do you think there is enough support for victims of violence against women and girls? And I thought, if I say yes, then I say there shouldn't be more support for male victims. If I say no, then I'm saying there should be more support for female victims of violence against women and girls. So it was, and that was very clearly intentionally phrased like that.
Yeah, it's catch-22.
Yes, exactly. But with this consultation, so I would really urge everybody listening to it, no matter where you live, to go to the consultation site and just go to the main questions and pretty much write down, I oppose this proposed legislation because it goes against the Equalities Act. And you can phrase it similarly and can say, there should be no law that exclusively protects one gender and discriminates against another gender. So keep it simple. And in that case, you don't have to answer the 60 questions. You only have to answer like 4 questions, the main questions, fly over it. But I would, if you have 20 minutes, try to do that. It would really help. Of course, they will most likely ignore our voices, but if we don't make our voices heard just because they make it difficult, it makes it so much easier for them to say, well, nobody from the other side responded to it. By the way, thank you so much for the comments in the comment section. I want to read them out from Land Ray, and that is in regards to parental alienation. He wrote, women's groups in America have discredited parental alienation as long as men have promoted awareness of it. That took a different turn when a former female federal prosecutor in New York committed suicide after enduring it.
I actually didn't know that story. Have you heard that before?
I did not. I didn't know about that. But in the House of Lords, we actually had a baroness who promoted the inclusion of parental alienation in the domestic abuse bill because she endured it, and her husband stole her children from her and took them to another country, and she was really fighting for it. But even though she, as a woman, was standing for it, it was ignored because the victims commissioner, the domestic abuse commissioner, and obviously all women's organizations were bombarding the lords and baronesses with lies and misrepresentations.
I wonder whether this prosecutor in New York, I wonder whether she had any involvement. Because I could certainly understand why you might commit suicide if you had been involved in having it dismissed in court and then it happened to you. That would be very difficult to live with.
Yes, that is very true. That is very true. Interestingly enough, I do think that a lot of judges really are aware that it exists. We talked a couple of weeks ago about the lawyers in Scotland actually standing up against juryless trials in cases of rape, and we were surprised. But I do think because they are actually working with these cases every day, they see a lot, and unless you're a complete ideologue, I think many of them kind of know what's going on.
Yeah, no, I largely have faith in the criminal justice system. You know, the problems come from like lobbyists pressuring legislators, and then they're, you know,
and there are quotas.
exactly.
There are quotas where they, well, why are only like 4% of rape accusations? Why do only 2 to 4% lead to convictions? I mean, we all know why, but that is just being changed to, oh, we're all misogynistic, so we have to bring the percentages up no matter what. And there's a lot of pressure on these judges.
Yeah, and it's coming from the legislators via the lobbyists. It's like all of them just need to like vacate the, you know, arena and let the adults in court, you know, all of whom are highly, highly educated. Mind you, the kind of people our age and younger who are highly educated, I don't know if that stuff like means much. Maybe that's a bad thing. Oh God. People need to stop like getting old and dying and stuff. We're going to be in trouble when it's all people our age. Is Philip deep in thought, or is he frozen? This is what Philip did just before he dropped out of the stream, just before we were supposed to start. There he goes. So I suppose I can segue from the parental alienation issue. Although actually, no, thinking of when Philip was talking about the absolute absurdity of this consultation with 60 questions, which literally I've never seen anything like. I was thinking that it would actually be useful to collect somewhere like a record of all of these consultations and surveys that are designed to give particular answers. Like, there should be some kind of, you know, it'd be cool to have some kind of website and like from surveys and consultations from anywhere in the world, because it's so common. It's to be honest, with regards to consultations and surveys that are state funded, I don't think I've ever participated in one that felt like they actually wanted to know what I thought, and that sucks. So yeah, we should gather evidence so that we can point this out to. Is that Philip back? Yeah. Hi, Philip.
Hi. Yeah, just fill the void when I'm gone. Just entertain our paying customers.
Void. I am the void.
Yeah, so every time I drop out, just take over. Make it all about yourself or about your bearded dragon.
So, Philip.
Okay, next topic.
Question.
Yes. Oh yeah.
You. Oh, okay.
Yes?
Stephen he wants to move on. Let's move on.
Oh, what was your question?
Well, I was just going to ask you, have you ever responded like to a state-funded consultation or survey on any subject that didn't clearly lead you to, you know, it didn't want to lead people to a particular answer?
Oh, no. It was always leading. It was always leading. That's
what
the
is
home
that
office.
about? That shouldn't be allowed. Like, can't we have some kind of objectivity balance thing in place where this is like checked by people?
So, it's the home office, and they are all leaning in one direction, and they are just there to keep their own power, I would say. They're part of the deep state. So, and unfortunately, it seems like there is no control structure to actually hold the government responsible in these areas, which is absolutely shocking. We already, like the domestic abuse commissioner, for example, he's gonna release a report about family court reform in I think November, and we already know it's gonna be ridiculously biased and completely ignore the role of fathers. And we're like, well, we already know that we have to sue her or that we have to take legal steps, but we don't know how, because there are no real mechanisms for that. So if anybody has an idea, please contact us. I'm just going to read out a comment from Landray again, that quote unquote misogyny law has serious problems. For instance, likely to cause distress or fear is highly subjective. All a woman has to do is claim fear, whether actual threats exist. Oh, thank you so much for pointing that out, Land, because I actually wanted to go into certain things. So this law has different parts, and one of the parts is, I'll just put that back up, because it is interesting to have a look at that. I should have put that up the first time around. I'm an awful host. So, as you can see on the screen, there are 4 or 5 different aspects to the law. So the first one says an offense of misogynistic harassment. So that means you actually have to harass a person that is physically there for it to be to fall under this law. But the second one is really tricky. It says an offense of misogynistic behavior, and I'm going to read that out. Intended to deal with misogynistic behavior, which is likely to have the effecting of causing a woman or girl to experience fear, alarm, degradation, humiliation, or distress, where that behavior is not directed at a specific woman or girl or group of women or girls, and so could not be described as harassment. So the big problem with that is obviously comedy would fall under that. If you make a joke and it might cause distress to a woman or disgust or whatever, you're already guilty under this legislation. And Landray also mentions another example, sending messages that only refer to rape and disfigurement, because one part of that bill also says that it's misogyny to send an email to a woman that refers to rape or disfigurement. Now, in that report or in that consultation, they do highlight that this is too vague, and they recommend that there are restrictions on that, because obviously campaigns against rape would fall under that as well. So they are saying that it has to be a threat of rape or an insinuated threat of rape. Now, rape threats are already criminal, so it just doesn't make any sense. Everything that should be criminal already is criminal. They are just trying to expand the law so that anybody who criticizes women or feminism will be shut up. Now, there are certain, let's say, safeguardings for free speech, but these safeguardings are ridiculous, and they will definitely lead to a chilling effect, so that people will not say certain things just to be sure not to be persecuted. And that's the whole point of that bill. It's not really to prosecute people, it's to change society and to create like an atmosphere of fear around criticizing feminism or women or something like that. So let's move on. But thank you so much, Land, for highlighting that. Our next topic is something very, I would say, emotionally distressing. It is about abortion. We had a very sad and shocking case of abortion here in the UK. I'll share the screen. So, from the newspaper, the Daily Mail, how mother of 3, charity worker, 44, ended up in prison for unlawfully aborting her unborn baby when lockdown forced her to move back with her ex-partner, who was not the father, in case that has divided the nation. I think it should say a case that has divided the nation. It's a very, very, very long article. That's this charming woman that aborted her baby. Now, when I first read the headline, or when I first heard about this case, my immediate thought was, I guess because she ended the pregnancy. Well, she aborted the baby with abortion pills, and she lied about how long she had been pregnant. And I thought, well, so I guess she was maybe a couple of weeks over that. And so when she got a prison sentence, I think 2 years and 2 months or something like that. That was my initial thought. And then I actually read the article, or I heard about the case, and it turns out that she was over 8 months pregnant, and she took the abortion pills, and which led to her baby girl being born dead. I'm gonna read out some of it. It's a very long article. I highlighted the bits that I thought were important for the case and important for us to talk about the case. When did you hear about it, Liz? And what did you hear about it, if I may ask?
I've only had the headlines actually, or I've only seen the headlines. I hadn't even read a headline that was long enough that had the detail in that she had moved back in with her ex due to lockdown. I mean, as if lockdown hasn't claimed enough victims, you know what I mean?
Well, to be honest, I read the whole article, and parts of it are just ridiculous, and ridiculous in a way that actually feminists complain about as well in domestic abuse cases, where you have a domestic abuse case where a woman is being murdered, and then they talk about how the idyllic neighborhood where it happened in such detail, where it's like, come on, somebody died, stop being so, I don't know, disrespectful. And they do the same in this article. They talk about certain parts or certain aspects of the story that are just not connected, and it made me upset as well. So in that regard, I'm probably on the side of the feminist. Even it's like, come on, and stick to the topic. I'm going to read out some of it. The mother of 3 and animal sanctuary worker jailed for terminating her pregnancy at 8 months in lockdown. It just moved back in with her partner, fearing she was carrying out another man's baby. Carla Foster, 44 years old, already a that it's all about her. It's me. It's not like I'm sad about the baby that died. It's I had a hard life. Don't judge me. I've been down many times, but I will get up. Well, I know who's not getting up, and that's her daughter. Any thoughts on that, Elizabeth?
Well, I can tell you that I don't know whose signal, maybe comments can tell us, is like horrendous, but I missed essentially everything you just said. But I can see what's on the screen right now. I couldn't see what was on the screen either, but I see the hours before the sentencing, she was posting images on Facebook saying that no one has the right to judge you because no one knows what you've been through. Okay, because, you know, it was not clear to me, you know, if this has been some horrendous moment of desperation, and she's deeply remorseful and disturbed and not a danger to her children because she understands what she did, then she probably should be offered some kind of treatment to help her, rather than prison. But clearly she still thought it was fine after going to court with it and exploring the issue. So yeah, no, clearly the sentence is warranted. But, you know, is there actually a difference between this and abortions that are legally carried out, or, you know, elective abortions? I don't really feel they are. I feel that this one is more, it's more sort of visceral and graphic. The image of the heavily pregnant woman and, you know, an 8-month-old baby is a proper baby, you know. It's like you can see
we'll
morally, you know, a baby at 12 weeks or whatever is it's a life, and it has the right to find out where it's
so because you didn't hear it the first time because of our internet connection, I scrolled back up, and so she actually, during that period, she searched, as you can see here on screen, she searched for how to lose a baby at 6 months, and I need to have an abortion, but I'm past 24 weeks. She knew what she was doing.
Yeah, and Stephen raises the question, you know, the critical question in the comments: why wasn't it an option to put it up for adoption? And that is absolutely the question. Like, that is some kind of horrendously disturbing issue that woman has. Like, what is it, pride or something? How could you rather see your child dead than brought up by somebody who wants them?
Just a second. I hope you can hear me now. I'm going to read out a little bit more for context. Ahead of the sentencing, a letter was sent to the court from leaders of health organizations calling for a non-custodial sentence. The letter from leaders of medical groups such as the Royal College of Midwives the Royal College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, and the Faculty of Sexual and Reproductive Healthcare warned that imprisoning Foster could put other women off accessing telemedical abortion services. I think that is the pills that you can order. The letter also said it could put off late gestation women from seeking medical care or from being open and honest with medical professionals. In response, Mr. Justice Pepperell said in his sentencing remarks, it would have been better if quote, the letter had not been written at all. He said, the letter also has the capacity to be seen as special pleading by those who favor wider access to abortions, and is, in my judgment, just as inappropriate as it would be for a judge to receive a letter from one of the groups campaigning for more restrictive laws, and which might seek to argue that it is important that the law is upheld by passing a deterrent sentence.
And again, we've got another legal professional who's just sensible. But can we go back to the quotes from the letter? Because I think, interestingly, surely it's just blatantly wrong in its claims. So,
oh, absolutely.
Right. I mean, the idea, they're suggesting that other women could be put off accessing these services. It's like you said earlier, she wasn't a couple of weeks over. We're not talking about a woman might have a concern that if she orders it at the last minute and then she takes the pill the day after or the week after, she's going to end up in prison. This woman was 8 months pregnant. And then this bit where they suggest that women might be put off having open and frank discussions with healthcare providers. It's like, well, that woman did she? Wasn't that the problem? If she had taken these concerns in month 6 or month 7 or month 8 when she was considering aborting this late-term baby, if she'd taken these concerns to a health professional, they could have helped her in a variety of ways. So, like, what are they on about? But I mean, it's kind of incredibly harrowing to read who signed that letter. Like the Royal College of Midwives.
Yeah. Oh, but that doesn't surprise me at all. Because unfortunately, feminism is in all these organizations.
Hi, Vernon.
It's quite shocking. Oh, did Vernon just send a? Oh, goodbye, Vernon. Thank you so much for being part of the show tonight. Thank you, and please share it. Here are a couple of comments that I wanted to share with you from different sides. Here we have, this morning, senior MP Dame Diane Johnson urged ministers to step up and decriminalize abortions. I mean, so not just expand the law or reform the law, no, just completely decriminalize abortions. Yeah. Further down, let me see.
This case as an example why. Like, seriously. Yeah. Look at what this woman has zero remorse. How are her other 3 children? How are they feeling about the idea that their mum did that to their little sister? Yeah.
And I mean, maybe they feel protective about their mother now, but I think later on, maybe when they have their own children, they will probably feel quite different about it.
Well, I mean, they must be traumatized. Where to project this intense emotion that they've got, but it's not easy for them, is it?
Yeah. So, by the way, just a real quick question from Landray again. He said, I asked the question, why wasn't it an option to return custody of the child to the real father? Now, the thing is, she didn't know who the real father was. But what isn't mentioned at all in this article is really the fathers or the potential fathers, and because fathers absolutely have no right. So she did not just kill a baby, but she also killed a father's child. And that is completely ignored. I just wanted to mention that in regards to Father's Day. Yeah, happy Father's Day to the poor guy who lost his daughter, whose daughter was murdered, and he is not even mentioned in any of these articles, as far as I know.
Yeah,
so here
not only that, he's not mentioned in any of these articles, and then there are MPs in Parliament standing up saying this should be allowed. Jesus Christ. How do you process that?
Yeah, so here are a couple more comments here from the Center of Women's Justice. So to the Center of Women's Justice is actually an organization explicitly dedicated to the complete decriminalization of pretty much all female murderers, because they say, well, women use violence only as retaliation. So yeah, their whole shtick is to decriminalize female murderers, which I find really funny. Not funny as in haha, more funny as in these people are batshit crazy. So Center of Women's Justice Director Harriet Wispridge questions how the prosecution is in the public interest. When most forms of violence against violence against women and girls go unpunished, this to women's system. Yeah, that was not a girl, right? Or Elizabeth, can you hear me? Live stream into the chat. Can anybody hear me? Hello? Hey, Elizabeth.
Oh, hello. You are there. I thought you were about to drop out of the world.
What was the last thing you heard from me?
Well, I've been reading along with the quote from
Stella Creasy.
I mean, it's truly, utterly horrifying. And this I was interested when you got to the bit from the women, the Centre for Women's Justice quote, because it was already in my mind that if a man slips a woman an abortion pill at any point in the pregnancy, every case that I've heard of, that's been brought to the courts, he's been sentenced.
Well, as he should. Yes, he should. It's clearly murder.
No, that they end on the comment that most forms of violence against women and girls go unpunished, and it's like, but that particular one wouldn't, would it? Show me one case when a man has slipped a woman an abortion pill and it's gone to court and he's gone unpunished. Like, it doesn't happen.
And yeah, and also, I mean, the human that was killed was a little girl.
And Stella Creasy. And Stella Creasy is a monster. She genuinely is a monster. Like,
yeah. Now, I don't want to go further into these comments. Oh no, actually I do, because some comments are obviously opposed to abortion. Let me scroll down. Okay, here we go. But Catherine Robinson, spokesman for the pro-life charity Right to Life UK, said the abortion provider BPAS should never have sent abortion pills to this vulnerable woman when her baby was at 32 weeks gestation. That's around 8 months. Rather than take responsibility for sending out abortion pills 22 weeks beyond the legal limit for at-home abortions and risking the health of the mother as well as her unborn child, the same abortion provider, BPAS, is now cynically using this woman's tragic experience of using their abortion services to lobby the government to introduce extreme abortion legislation throughout the United Kingdom. And yes, I have seen that this case is now being used by feminist lobbyists, by female politicians, to push for the decriminalization of abortion. And unfortunately, the media is not highlighting the fact that this baby was 8 months old. They in all the headlines, they are not saying baby killed at 8 months after conception. So they're intentionally, let's say, not ignoring the facts, but instead of saying 8 months, they say 32 weeks, and they just hope that people don't do the math, which most people don't. Yeah. Here is another quote. Andrea Williams.
Really...
Sorry?
That woman makes there, though, actually. But it makes me wonder, because it's, surely very true that actually if this provider is just posting out abortion pills, know who they're sending them to, to safeguard the people, in fact, the very people who are using them. It's not, it's dangerous for a woman when your baby dies at that kind of stage inside you. But it makes me wonder. I've forgotten. There's a name for this tactic, but there's a tactic wherein you lobby for something like a position that is so outrageous and so radical that it will never be accepted, and you don't even want it to be accepted. You would be very dissatisfied if it was accepted, but by lobbying for something so extreme, you know that the compromise opponent is, which is like the other sort of way. So maybe
Yes,
that's what this
I agree.
Doing. They don't actually want abortion to be completely decriminalized, but they want to make sure that nobody goes, hang on a minute, why aren't you taking responsibility for doing this responsibly?
Yeah. Now, so in regards to the responses, two things I wanted to highlight. First of all, Rishi Sunak, well, not him personally, but his spokesperson, he pretty much posted, because obviously he said, oh, we have to change these outdated abortion laws. And they posted out that the current laws take the rights to the woman to have a safe abortion and the welfare of the unborn child into consideration and balance that out, and they don't see the need to change anything about it. I'm paraphrasing here, which is a mildly conservative, well, it's not even a conservative position, it's just the middle of the road position. Our laws are okay the way they are. But it's definitely better than saying, oh yeah, we should think about change in the laws. But I think that's where we are heading. I think that the push will be to more decriminalization. But you know Juliette Hartley Brewer.
Yeah.
So she was on talk radio today. She's a radio host, and she had a guest on, the leader from a feminist organization. And the thing is, like, you would say a radical person, but she's just a normal feminist, yeah. And they had a conversation, and Julia Hartley Brewer, she asked, so do you think this is okay? And she was like, well, women need access to healthcare. And she said, well, but this baby was 8 months old, and she starts cornering this feminist and said, no, answer my question. And she evades the question and just talks about healthcare and women should have rights and you need the choice. And Julia said, okay, so I have children. So are you telling me that if I'm 8 months pregnant and my baby is kicking and all, and I say, you know what, I don't want to be pregnant anymore, it's okay for me to kill that baby? And she was like, yes.
Oh.
And and Julia, Julia, during this conversation, she said, I'm pro-choice. I do think women have the right to an abortion, but come on, you can't tell me you're really on board with that.
Yeah.
But this woman is on board with it. So, and I think the extreme radical position of these people is pushing those who pay attention more to the conservative side and to the pro-life side. I mean, I was pro-choice when I was younger. I'm absolutely pro-life now. Even in cases of rape, I'm pro-life now. And which might sound cruel, but the thing is, if we say abortion only in cases of rape, then you will have a dramatic increase in false accusations of rape all of a sudden, because the women just say, oh, I can only get an abortion if I claim rape, and all of a sudden you have false allegations again. So I think the morning after pill is okay. So if you have been raped, you should make immediately an accusation with the police, and you should talk to help services, and you should say, look, I have been raped, I need a morning after pill. So within a very narrow time frame, I think that's fine. But yeah, what's your thought on that?
Actually, well, you know, if I can just go back to what you were talking about earlier with the potential, or you know, the possibility of further liberalization of the laws, it just occurred to me that the reason that this woman is in prison is because feminists successfully lobbied so that, maybe 4 years ago or so, it was that they made it so, you know, British women no longer had to get consent from two separate medical professionals, two separate doctors. We could just go and take, you know, abortion pills and make the decision without consulting anyone. And I remember feminists like cheering and applauding this, you know, and I know that they have this thing, you know, trust women can decide, blah, blah, blah. But this is where it's got them, you know, they're upset because this woman's in prison. Well, had she gone and spoken to two doctors about it, she wouldn't be there, would she? So whose fault is it?
Yeah, and to be honest, to be honest, you can't tell me that she's happy with the outcome. You can't tell me that she's happy that her little girl is dead, that she's going to prison. I mean, this is just the worst case scenario for everybody.
Well, she's clearly disturbed because on the day, you know, night before she was sentenced, she was posting comments that clearly indicate she had no remorse. I suspect that's some kind of repression, and that she is highly disturbed, and that she is somewhere inside her there is regret. Certainly, you know, if not for the girl that she felt grown inside her for 8 months. For the other children who watched her belly swelling for 8 months, and now have to live with the fact that their mother could do that to their sister.
Yeah, I mean, do you know that, in America there was the law Roe v. Wade, right? Do you know that the woman that this case was built around, she actually didn't want to be used by the feminist lobby. She was used against her will, and she became an anti-abortion lobbyist later on.
Yeah, I do actually. I'd forgotten about that, but yeah, I do recall seeing some footage.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if this woman is duped into her defined position now, like, you go girl, no, you should have the right. Nobody's actually sitting her down and saying, you're a monster. I mean, come on, like, where's your regret? Where's like have the decency to say, I made a mistake.
You know what, that's a good point. Yeah, she may well have been totally receptive to beginning the process of healing, which would start with accepting what she's done, but she might have been just completely led astray by these ideologues who are like, oh great, look, we can use this.
And I mean, if you had the choice, would you rather acknowledge that you're a murderer, or would you rather acknowledge that you're a victim and actually you're helping the progression of women's rights to get abortion till the day of birth? So in the end,
yeah, exactly. And I mean, you know, this is a woman, she's got 3 kids and she worked at an animal shelter. It sounds like she's sort of innately reasonably empathetic, and so yeah, that would hit her hard, or it is likely to hit her hard when she
Now it is 5 minutes past 10. We have one more topic. Are you ready? Are you ready for that? Are we continuing? Yeah, right?
I'm ready. Yeah.
Do you still have some wine? I've got
I'm gonna pour myself some more.
Woo! Okay. So the last topic for tonight is, what is a man? Masculinity in crisis. Russell Brand. I gotta say, I never really liked Russell Brand, and in the last year, I started watching his YouTube channel. God, he's good. I mean, he is ridiculously smart. His brain is working at a speed that I can't even imagine. Now, I don't agree with everything he says. For me, he's too lefty, too liberal, and all of that. I think I moved beyond that. But he asks the right questions, and he is, God, what a smart person. Now, you made me aware of this segment from Russell Brand. You shared the YouTube channel. I actually thought, you know what? I'm going to promote Rumble, because Rumble deserves more support than YouTube. Yes, you're watching us on YouTube here. Maybe we should start. Maybe you should start moving over to Rumble at one point soon, because YouTube sucks. You made me aware of this segment. I hadn't seen it before, even though it's quite recent. I didn't see it due to my internet problems. Now, what is that video from Russell Brand about, Elizabeth?
So it's about some alarming results or findings that have come out from a study asking men questions with regards to their mental health, and discovering that there are hugely significant problems. If I remember right, was it all of the men asked, the average for all of the men asked, like 44% had seriously considered suicide. I think there's something like 65% of like the 18 to possibly 30 demographic feel like nobody understands them, or something like that. It's just really it's traumatic to read, to be honest.
Now, and what I found really fascinating, now, Russell Brand, he suffered from addiction, and was dealing with that and mental health issues. And so he said that he's been in several support groups and he was in spaces where men talk about their issues. And he said that he recognized everything, that every comment that was shared there, he recognized from himself. And it just felt so true. Now, to be honest, when I heard the number of the 44%, I'm gonna use the same skepticism that I use with feminist research, and I would say that to me that sounds like a very, very high number. I think the research in regards to nobody really knows me or cares about me, I think that might be accurate. With the suicide, that really shocked me, and I would ask the question, where was that research done? Was it in a certain area, certain demographic or so? So I have some questions, but there is no doubt that there are real serious issues around suicide amongst the male population, because 75% of suicides are perpetrated by men.
Yeah, I think the video, I particularly appreciated what he was talking about with regards to community and the loss that everyone experiences by being so dislocated from kind of our extended family and community groups that are stable. And so, he's talking about how, as a man, you really want to have peers who you can joke with and share experiences with, and elders who you can learn for and go to for wisdom and advice, and younger men who you have a responsibility to help as they go through their lives. And I think that was a very appropriate point. I think that there really has been there are a lot of challenges that arise from the way we are so easily able to move about these days. And you have so many people who don't have a clue who their neighbours are. They might not even recognize them on the street, and it really is a problem.
Yeah, and there are no spaces. I'm going to use the term safe spaces, and I think it's actually an accurate term. There are no safe spaces for men nowadays. The pub where a guy could talk to the bartender about his issues, the sports club, all of these places have been in some ways, I would say, infiltrated. You can't be open and frank anymore. You have to watch what you're saying, and sometimes you need humor and banter and also the expression of anger to deal with certain experiences that you have in your life. Imagine, my cut off again.
I still
hear me?
Yeah, I see you, I hear you, yeah.
Okay. Good. Yeah. I was disconnected again. So if you, for example, if you're in an abusive relationship and you go to your sports club, and you complain about the cunt at home that constantly makes your life miserable. Well, now you can't complain anymore because you don't feel safe anywhere, even if you complain about legitimate abuse. And these places have been more and more eroded. Luckily, there are a couple of places, like, for example, the Man's Shed organization, where men can just go and build stuff and be amongst each other and share their experience and also mentor each other to some extent. But Let's Need Dads, a great organization where young men that don't have a father figure can be supported by mentors, so to speak. But we need way more of that. And when we look, I'm sure we have that in London, but I only know the statistics from America, where the vast majority of kids in the Black community grow up without a father. And obviously that makes them much more vulnerable to end up in gangs, and it creates a vicious cycle of violence, and obviously violence against yourself as well.
Yeah, absolutely. There are so many issues just across the board that the one thing that we could do as societies that would help the most is give kids back their fathers. You know, boys and girls, the big sort of problem issues for them, so many of them, the best thing we could do to help kids is give them back their fathers.
And it's also the best that you can do for men. The best that you can do for men is give them back, give them children and loving wives, responsibility. Men need responsibility. They need a loving or a burden that they love and that loves them back. That's the best thing for a man. If you don't have that, they crumble. Now it's 10:15. So I think we can slowly wrap it up. I want to, because we always end our MRAdio with a little prayer. And before we get into the prayer, I wanted to say, I don't know if I'm going to do it, but I might actually write something for our church about the importance of fathers for this Sunday, because Sunday is Father's Day. And thinking about it, I noticed that, well, God is the Father, right? And the fact that we as fathers carry the same term is a huge privilege, but also a massive responsibility, because it means that the characteristics that we find in God the Father are characteristics that we should carry ourselves. That is obviously unending love and dedication, but also creating boundaries and enforcing those boundaries. In some ways, righteous anger, punishing those that go against your people, as in your children, wisdom, responsibility, like in Christianity. They use a term which I actually find weird, because I'm German and I don't fully understand it. The term, they say, they thank God for his faithfulness. Now, for me, it's actually a weird term, because I always thought that, well, we are the ones that have faith. So why should God have faithfulness towards us? And last Sunday, I actually asked that our minister and some people from the congregation, and they explained to me, no, it means that you are reliable, that you deserve faith because you are standfast, you are solid, and people can rely on you. And I think that's how a father should be. And we as a society should allow fathers, we should allow and encourage fathers to be that. And if you take a father's children away, and you ban fathers from fighting for their children, because if the government takes your children away, what can you do? I mean, you can't go amok and just like fight against the government because they took your children away, but that is what you want to do, but you can't. So in some ways, having your children taken away through lies and not being able to fight for them is double crippling. It adds insult to injury in many ways. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it is. It's a horrendous position to be in, to be separated from your children and deprived of the opportunity to fulfill your obligation to them, to look after them, and to know that anything that you do in retaliation, certainly, but often even just in an attempt to rectify the situation, you know, if you go and knock on their mother's door where they live at the wrong time, at not the appointed hour, you know, then the police are going to turn up, and it's going to aggravate the situation. Like, that is, it's really incredibly cruel. Yes, and it's really no surprise that the suicide figures for men go up so steeply after separation.
Yeah.
Bearing things like that in mind.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. The thing is, when after separation, women tend to look for support, and they get it, and men usually isolate themselves. And I think just telling men, oh, just change and be more social, that's not how it works. The whole system is not targeted towards man. Men need a different support. They need somebody who says, hey, let's go fishing, and you don't say, let's talk about your issues, but somebody who's there, that when you're ready to open up, you can. But that,
well, yeah,
and
but
I think
my experience, vicarious experience of the fathers' rights movement is that they are incredibly supportive of each other, and you know, they're often up for nights on end on the phone to each other, talking each other down from ledges. You know, I don't know if it's that men don't seek support, that they don't find certainly emotional support. It is there from other men, and they often access it. But you know, I think that men do more so than women seek actual resolutions to their problems.
Yeah.
You know, whereas women can be soothed just by talking, but you know.
And the thing is, if you can't do anything, and if everything that you do makes your situation worse, and you are forced to be useless, so to speak, or actionless, that is actually double traumatizing.
Yeah.
Because we want to fix things, and you keep us from fixing things. You keep us from our
Have we lost Philip again? Or is my signal bad? I don't think my signal's bad. I think you're right, Stephen. I think we should call it a night. Philip's computer has told us what we should do. Perhaps I'll
I'm back. Let's pray.
Do it. You
Okay.
Philip,
Okay, let's do it.
fathers, huh?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's pray while the internet lasts. Heavenly Father, Heavenly Father in heaven, you are the Father to all of us, and I ask you to protect the fathers down here on this planet. Please guide them and support them and lift them up, lift up their spirits, so that they can keep up their fight for their children and allow them to be good fathers. Guide them to be the protectors and also the leaders in spiritual matters that they're supposed to be, and crush the enemy who wants to destroy families, who wants to destroy men and women alike, who wants to destroy fatherhood and motherhood. The enemy who tells us to kill our babies and to reject our nature and our love to you. I ask you that you help us to crush this enemy, but all the power lies in your hand. So we ask you to do that work for us, but we will do our part. That's why we're doing the show. That's why we're in this movement, to stand up for what is right. We thank you for all your support, and we thank you for the people that listen to us, and we also pray for our enemies, that they may see the light. It is in your name that we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. Is there anything that you want to add?
That's okay. That's okay.
You're good? Okay. Then have a wonderful night with your bearded dragon. And I'm gonna go downstairs and fulfill my fatherly duties. I have to prepare some milk and bring it down to my daughter.
Happy Father's Day. Happy preemptive Father's Day to you, Philip, and all the other fathers out there.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for your support, for being in that fight with us. Good night to everybody, and thank you so much. Oh, and please, obviously share the video. When you share the video, say, "Oh, great content," but a little bit of audio problems here and there. Next week it should be fixed, and I should be back to my mediocre internet, not to my absolutely abysmal internet. See you guys. Bye bye. Good night.
Bye bye.